Welcome you all to the series of sessions on C++ for the beginners. Now we are moving on to session 2. Here we will be dealing with character set, keywords, identifiers and data types. Moving on to the character set, we can see that C++ supports a set of valid characters and they are called the character set. They are grouped together to form variables, keywords, operators, statements, etc. There are four different types of character set. They are alphabets, digits, white spaces, and special symbols. There are 26 numbers of alphabets that they are the English alphabets A to Z. Since C++ is case sensitive, we have a capital A to Z and small a to Z as different set of alphabets supported by C++. Then we have digits, we have 10 numbers of digits 0 to 9. White spaces, which includes blank space created by the spacebar, new line which can be created using /n, then horizontal tab which is a group of 8 free spaces which is created using /t, then carriage return which is created using the enter character on the keyboard. Then we have the special symbols. They are the keyboard characters other than the above three categories. They are the alphabets, digits, white spaces. Other than these three categories, we call them the special symbols. They are all available on the keyboard. There are 30 such special symbols in C++. All these together are called the character set. Now we are moving on to keywords. Keywords are reserved words created using the character set. They have predefined meaning. They are all written in lowercase letters and there is no space in between the characters. Example, int. Let us consider the sample program that we have discussed earlier. Hash include IOStream using namespace standard. Int main cout hello return 0. This is one of the simplest program that we can write. Here using is a keyword, namespace is a keyword, then int and return are keywords. Using namespace, int and return have their own meanings. For example, int is used as a data type to represent integer numbers. Return is used to show that the function is returning such and such value. Here, return 0 means the function is returning 0. Then we have using and namespace. They are the keywords that is represented to use the namespace where the set of variables are declared. Okay, so the keywords are reserved words having predefined meaning written in lowercase letters with no space in between the characters. Now moving on to identifiers. Identifiers are the name given to the variables, function, structure, class, etc. There are a set of rules to name the identifiers. All the identifiers must start with a letter or an underscore. They are case sensitive, that is, lowercase and uppercase are different. There should not be any space in between the identifier name. We should not use at, ampersand or percentage symbols for declaring identifier name. For example, we have discussed int a, b, c, etc. where a, b, c are the identifiers. Moving on to data types. Data types specifies the type of data stored in a variable. The categories of data types are built-in data types, derived data types, user-defined data types. In built-in data types, we have void, which says nothing is there or nothing is returned, is the type void. Then we have character data type, which has a space of 1 byte, which stores character type of data only. Then we have wchar, which is used to which is handling 2 bytes of data. Then we have integer, which can handle 4 bytes, that means a larger number. Then we have floating point numbers stored in 4 bytes, that means the decimal pointed numbers. Then we have bool, which stores either true or false. Now we are moving on to the derived data types, which includes arrays, functions, pointers, and reference. The third set is user-defined data types, which includes enumerated data types, type definitions, structure, union, and class. We can see the modifiers of the data types, which are short, long, signed, and unsigned. Short means when it is int, we use 4 bytes. When it is shortened, we use only 2 bytes of data in the memory of the computer. Then comes the modifier long. When it is double, we use 8 bytes. When it is long double, it uses 12 bytes of memory locations. Then there are two more modifiers, signed and unsigned. When it is signed int, we can store plus or minus. When it is unsigned int, we cannot store the sign of the number. So that is about the data types. As you all know, 1 byte is 8 bits. That means in a 1 byte you can store 256 combinations of ones and zeros. Now moving on in detail, the built-in data types: void, that does not return anything; character, there is a character type of data, and the storage space used is 1 byte. Then in wchar underscore t we have 2 bytes, and in integer we use 4 bytes of memory locations to store integer numbers. In float we use 4 bytes of memory locations to store decimal point numbers, and in bool we can store either true or false. Now moving on to the derived data types, we have arrays. Arrays store a group of data with the same data type. For example, int A10 means we can store 10 integer numbers varying from A0 to A9. Then we have function. In function, group of variables of different data types and a set of statements to manipulate the data are used. For example, one of the built-in function is sqrt, which is included in the header file math.h. By using sqrt, we can find the square root of numbers. Then we have pointer. Pointer is a variable that stores the address of another variable, and the address of the variable can be accessed using the reference data type. For example, int a means a is a variable that can store a data of type integer. Then int star p means p is a variable that can store the address of another variable. Int star p equal to ampersand a is written here. That means that the address of A is stored into the location P, which has the capability of storing the address. That is, P is a pointer variable. Now moving on to the user-defined data types. We have enumerated data type. It contains a finite set of enumeration constants. Example, enum, answer, false, true. What happens is false is automatically assigned the value 0 and true is automatically assigned the value 1. So when we see out false, what happens? 0 will be printed. Then we have type def. It is used to define another name for the data type. For example, type def int integer. If you write inside the program, later on in the program you can write integer I. Instead of int I, you can write integer I. By writing so, you can make the program more readable. Next user-defined data type is structure, which is in which we can have group of variables of different data types in a single name. For example, struct student contains int roll number as well as character name. Both roll number and name are grouped together in the name struct student. The next category is union, which is very similar to structure, but the difference is the variables declared inside the union, both of them cannot be accessed together, only one can be accessed at a time. Now moving on to the class, which is one of the advanced features of C++, in which we have groups of variables of different data types as well as the functions in a single class name. For example, class student can contain variables say roll number, name, etc. as well as the functions. Okay, here the function named print is used. So we have the user-defined data types in enum, typedef, struct, union, and class. So that is all about today's class. Thank you for watching.